Hey VC, second video this morning. This is another response video to a thread, this time from James Griffiths. James is a fellow Brit and has a brilliant channel. Really interesting bloke, knows his stuff. And he has a series on his channel called From the Collection. And the third sort of episode of that series was classic compilations. He showed some great stuff, Wings, Pink Floyd, Kiss, some soul stuff, some rock compilations, just really good mix of stuff. And a couple of the other guys from the UK have also kind of joined in with their responses, Steve Whitty and Grebo 69. And I'm sure there's been others, but those are the only ones I can remember off the top of my head. And I think I responded to one of them saying, a really interesting thread, but I'm not sure whether I've got that many compilations on vinyl that would warrant a video. Generally, I never bought compilations. I always preferred the full album experience, I suppose. If I liked a track, I would buy the album it was on rather than the compilation it was on. Just the way I worked, really. Since I started buying CDs, that kind of changed, and I bought a lot of compilation CDs just to cover an artist's sort of repertoire. So I'm just quickly looking behind me here. We've got the Doro Pesh compilation, my Bucksfizz compilation, which I'm surprised no one's commented on yet. Chopin, which I know James has commented on. Some Genesis, David Bowie. You get the picture. Plenty of different compilations. So I thought, I haven't got that many on vinyl. I'll have a look, just quick look through and see if I can pull something out. So I went through and I started making notes of what compilations I had. Now, generally I've got compilations from 3 different areas. Those that I've bought, and like I say, I wasn't really into buying them. Those that I've received as, I suppose, VCLT, if you like, from friends who no longer, well, friends or family who no longer want the vinyl, or stuff that I've won in various dodgy competitions, that kind of thing. So I made a list, rough list, and came up with, where are we? You can pause that if you want. 55 compilations. Couldn't believe it. Now, of those 55, 11 have come from Jill's record collection, which has been sort of merged into mine, or from her family. 13 I've received from elsewhere, either it be other friends who've just given me stuff, or like I say, competition wins. So I had a lot more than I thought, and it's quite a broad spectrum of stuff. I mean, starting with, the first one I pulled out was 38 Special, so sort of southern rock tinged AOR, I suppose the best way of describing them, through to a compilation from the records company Virus 10, which I got as part of a number of albums that I bought from my brother-in-law when he was selling off his collection. I mean, covers all sorts of gamuts. So I've pulled out 4, I think it is, just to cover all those bases, really. I'm going to start with the first compilation I ever bought. I bought this, I was getting into rock music in the late 70s. Started really around about 1976. And as part of a school sort of thing, we were encouraged to do extracurricular activities with school. And one of the things I signed up for was the Duke of Edinburgh Awards, which, if you're in the UK, you'll know is kind of like a outward bound type thing. So you go off hiking here, there and everywhere, and depending on the level of your award, you've got to walk X number of miles. So I signed up for a sort of Duke of Edinburgh, I think it was a silver award at the time, expedition into the woolly wilds of Northumberland, and met up with a couple of other guys who'd come from another school um, to take part as well. And we were all rock fans, and inevitably the conversation goes around to what you had in your collection. And at the time, I probably only had about 5 to 10 albums, because I'd only really been collecting for about 6 months. And the conversation came round to Deep Purple and just how brilliant Ritchie Blackmore was. Right, think I've heard of them. Wasn't sure. And the album I was sort of pointed towards was this one, 24 Karat Purple. And I bought this. Well, I think I bought this. I either bought it with my own money, or I got it as a birthday present in 1977. And it's a great introduction to Deep Purple. It's a bit beat up these days, because I've had it for a lot of years. As you can see, there's quite a nice gouge across the front of the cover there. Oh, there you go, that shows up quite nicely. And there's something going on up here with the laminates coming away. But it's a great album. I mean, it's got a superb selection of songs. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I loved it so much, I never bought another Deep Purple album for about 10 years. Don't know why. I mean, there isn't a bad track on here, but just the way it was. I mean, personal favourite on here was Woman from Tokyo, which is just superb. Funny enough, I wasn't really that bothered by Smoke on the Water. I think it was the track I liked least on here. But great compilation. And I mean, despite the wonderful advertisements of all the albums I could have bought, didn't buy any of them. It wasn't until they came back and reformed that I bought that album. And from there, I've dipped back in here and there. And liked all the stuff, but there just seemed to be one of those bands that I'm not that bothered that I don't have everything. I don't have anything from their classic period other than Made in Japan. You know, don't have Fireball, don't have Machine Head, don't have In Rock. Don't know why, just the way it is. But 24 Karat Purple, brilliant compilation if you want to get your ear tuned into some classic early 70s rock. Next one is some more British rock, this time from the 1980s, and from James's neck of the woods. This is a band from Wales, and this is The Alarm with compilation Standards. Now, The Alarm started off in the late 70s as a punk band called The Toilets, which is basically Mike Peters was the sort of main man in that. And he had some wonderful names, something like Eric Pop or Eric Bop, something like that. And The Alarm themselves didn't form until the early 1980s, I think 1981. So it's been on the go for about sort of 4 or 5 years before they became The Alarm. I think one of the working titles before they became The Alarm was Alarm Alarm. But I loved these. I thought they were brilliant. So that's track listing there. 68 Guns is probably the most famous track. That was the highest charting single in the UK, which was off the album Declaration, which again I think was their highest charting album. 68 Guns reached number, I was going to say it just came out. Don't think it broke the top 5, so it was kind of somewhere between 5 and 10 in the chart. So, you know, a relatively successful single. This album came out in the early 90s, I think, 1990 or 1991. Reached top 50, I think it broke into the top 50 of the UK album charts, and top 200 in the US. It's great. I mean, there isn't a duff track on here again. It's just a Blocking out all the light here. Oh no, I'm not blocking out the light, it's just my computer dying down to death. There you go. Absolutely superb. Well, apart from the cover of John Lennon's Happy Christmas, War is Over, which somewhat ill-advised, I would suggest. I love them, sort of jangly pop, rock, indie type stuff. Hard to describe. Give them a listen. I really like them. Mike Peters has got a great voice. I loved the artwork for this. There used to be a chap wandered around Newcastle who had this painted on the back of his leather jacket, which I always thought was rather amazing. They were a great live band as well. Mike Peters still tours. He's had his problems with cancer over recent years. He was the stand-in vocalist for Big Country for a while, when after Stuart Adamson's untimely suicide. Worth checking out though. So those are two of my buys. So we're going to now move on to stuff that I've received from elsewhere. So this is an album that I got from Jules Mann. And it was one that Jules' dad owned. Jules' dad unfortunately passed away over 10 years ago now. He was a wonderful man, got on really well with him. And like all prospective son-in-laws, you've got to try and find something that connects you to the father-in-law, just so you have a bit of an easier ride. Jules' dad was a huge sports fan. He played football professionally in his younger days. He was reserve goalkeeper for Cardiff City, so another Wales connection there, James. Although he never got a first team game. He suddenly realised that he wasn't going to make it in football and became an accountant instead. But played five-a-side in local football through the years. Was a big tennis person, huge golfer. Golfed until he died. I'm not a sports person in the slightest. Now, I enjoy watching sports, but playing sports, not for me. So I had to find another in, really. And it turned out to be music. Ted was a huge music fan. And the connection being, he was a huge Don Denver fan, the same as my dad. So I had some memories of John Denver stuff, so I could chip in there, here and there. And, you know, we had some great evenings just chatting about music and what made music, sort of great for us both to listen to, what it sort of meant to each of us. And this is one of the albums he had, Portrait of Frank Sinatra, 40 songs from the life of a man. This is a compilation that came out in 1977 and just contains a shed load of his hits. It's got a couple of wonderful quotes from various artists about Frank in here. It's a brilliant one from Count Basie, who just said, "He's just beautiful. To me, he is a pigeon-blood ruby, and that's the greatest ruby there is." I suppose if you call somebody something, you might as well make it poetic. There you go. So, Portrait of Frank, and that's one I gained off over the past few years. I've been getting bits and pieces of Ted's collection for Christmas off my mother-in-law, and this was one that I got a couple of years ago. And finally, the last collection, and I'm going to tie it back into James's From the Collection videos, this time number 4, and his classic country. Beyond the number of John Denver albums down there on CD, I don't have any country that I'm aware of. I have some country tinge stuff, so I have the likes of Steve Earle, that kind of stuff, but I don't know sort of classic country, if you like. Now, I go along to a an event at our local heritage cinema called the Tyneside Cinema. And there's a chap who's a local producer for the BBC, who is also a stand-up comedian, Steve Drayton, and he puts on what's called Mr. Drayton's Record Player, and every so often we'll get together and just sit in a darkened room listening to a vinyl album all the way through from start to finish, and then have a bit of a chat about it. And I've loved going along to that. It revitalised my vinyl buying sort of chops. I bought a lot since I've started going to Steve's events, much to Jill's pleasure, obviously. As part of the evening, there's always a quiz attached to the night, usually with a loose theme around whatever album's been playing. There's usually some great prizes for the winner, usually some CDs, books, 5 of your English pounds, which is always goes down well. And there's always, as Steve says, a yin for every yang, and there is a booby prize as well for the team that comes in last. And I have had the dubious pleasure of coming in last once or twice. And this is one of the albums I won as part of coming in last. It's a country album. So here you go, James. Headley, because I was talking to Headley and saying I didn't have any country either. So here we go, we have Cletus Magard and the Citizens Band, White Night. Yup. It's, yeah, good old Cletus. Now, Cletus, as you might gather, isn't his real name. I'm going to have to look this. I wrote this down because I'm never going to remember this. This is a chap called Jay Hughley, or Hughley. He's an American actor and TV producer. Probably best known for being the producer on Magnum P.I. And I think he produced at least a couple of the Jason movies in Hollywood as well. I'm assuming this is him. It looks kind of the same guy. This is a somewhat comedy album, apparently. He had a huge hit with the White Night, so the title track in 1976, which #1 in the country charts. So there you go. Genuine their country album. It's apparently about a trucker who falls foul to a Georgia highway patrolman and gets victimised by him, and how he fights back. I'm not sure whether I heard it. Something in the back of my mind tells me I've probably heard it sometime in the past. I've not heard it off this album though, because like everything else that comes with Steve's booby prizes, he picks them up in charity shops. And this looks as if Torval and Dean have been skating over it. It is just littered with scuffs and marks, and there's just some beauties on here, and it's not going anywhere near my turntable. I keep it for sentimental reasons. Remember those good times when I was really, really crap at a quiz. So there you go. The Merely Chris compilations collection. Touched on one or two there, but I just thought I'd throw my 2 pennies in. I thought it was a great thread. If you don't check out James's channel, you should do, and the same goes for Steve and Graham as well. I'll put links to their channels down at the bottom here. Got to keep the Brits going strong in the VC. So there you go. That's it for today. Well, probably not. I might throw in another video later on because Jill is still fast asleep in bed. Okay, cheers guys.